There you go, Dr. Walter Kazade Molumbo, WHO country representative here in Nigeria. Let's get more perspective on the World Malaria Day. We're being joined by the program's manager, Malaria Elimination Program in Osun State, Dr. Femi Orege. Thank you indeed, Dr. Femi, for agreeing to speak with us here on Channel TV.
Thank you very much for having me on the program today.
Yes, so the World Health Organization, WHO, has emphasized the need for proper policy funding and education in efforts to get Nigeria and, of course, the continent to zero malaria level. But I'm just wondering just how feasible is this? I mean, considering just how peculiar the region is.
Yes, no doubting the fact that we have our challenges. The region, the weather condition, it gives rooms for the vector, which is the mosquito, to thrive and to continue to transmit the infection. But without doubt, we know that if we put our hearts in place with the right investment, the right innovation, and ensuring that we implement the options that we have on ground, we can go very far in the fight against malaria. And we are very optimistic that we can actually make malaria a thing of the past. We can eliminate malaria in Nigeria. If you look at the trend in prevalence of malaria, Nigeria has not done too badly, even though we have not met the global technical strategy targets for us for this period. But without doubt, we're gaining some ground against malaria. It's been significant in the early years from 2010 till about 2018. It's been marginal in the last few years, but yet we're making some progress. And if we continue to invest correctly and implement effectively, I'm definitely confident that it's a matter of time. We just need to invest some more, and we'll get more results in the fight against malaria.
Yes, Dr. Femi, can I ask you about issues around funding? Because a lot of these international organizations have contributed financially over the years to help eradicate malaria in Nigeria and the continent. So do you think there's a question mark in terms of accountability for funds?
Availability of funds on one side and accountability on the other side. The first thing we need to ensure is the availability. We need to ensure that we have enough funding for malaria. Like you have accurately observed, most of the funding have come from outside. We've got, as a nation, to put our own funds into the fight against malaria. Like you've observed, Nigeria is the leading country in terms of malaria burden, in terms of cases, and in terms of death, and this is unacceptably high. We've got to also put our money where our problems are and look for our own solutions ourselves. And this is one of the ways to actually go find the fight against malaria. And because if you consider that he who pays the piper will dictate the tune, we may not be able to get homegrown solutions to our problems. So the first thing is to ensure that the government of Nigeria at the national and sub-national levels make funds available sufficiently to be able to fight malaria. Once that is in place, we need to also build in place structures to monitor funding and to ensure accountability. Recently, across the nation, we started having a program called data triangulation to marry data service data with logistic data. Because at some point in time, we were not able to showcase the accountability in the project. There are questions about how commodities were used. But we discovered that not all of these were probably intentional at the quarters, where you would have thought mismanagement probably took place. We discovered that data were missing even at the facility level. So investment also needs to go to the grassroots, to the facility levels, such that personnel that are seeing patients, that are handling data, can actually account for these commodities and will be able to track them with the number of persons or patients they have seen. We believe that if we're able to put these simple things in place, we don't look so badly in the face of the international community in terms of accountability of the funds that we have gotten. So we may not need to look so much at the high levels that we probably ordinarily would have done, but even at the grassroots, how are the commodities managed? Do the personnel have the capacity to showcase what they have done and to match the commodity use with the cases they are seeing? And these disparities are the ones that actually put us in the bad light more often than not.
Dr. Femi, allow me to take you up on some data here from the World Malaria Report. It says in the last 2 decades, significant progress has been achieved towards malaria elimination. 27 countries had fewer than 100 cases of the disease in 2020, up from 6 countries in 2000. So when you look at this data, just how much progress have we recorded as a continent?
As a continent, we have made some progress. I was looking at the charts of our progress comparing with the GTS, the Global Technical Strategy, some days ago, and I saw that we were not on track actually, but we were making some steady progress. If we continue at the pace we are doing, we are never going to catch up with the GTS target for us, because the projection is such that if we continue the way we're going, we're just going to be making marginal progress onwards. However, we've got to be very conscious of the need to make substantial progress, and that calls for substantial investment. So definitely we've made some progress. Like I said the other time, that in the early years of the concerted actions towards malaria control in Africa and especially in Nigeria, we saw massive reductions from 2010 to 2015, reduction in prevalence from 45% to 27%. That's massive for the country. Then you saw some reduction between 2015 and 2018. We're coming to like 23%. But you see that the gap is already getting narrow. We're not making those massive changes any longer. So we need to be very conscious of what we're doing, invest more, ensure that we implement more effectively, and look for other innovations. We have in the malaria vaccine around the corner. It could help us put some more dent into the malaria burden in the country. But the truth is, we've made a lot of progress. We're making some progress right now, but if we don't do things actively, the progress we're making might be too marginal in the nearest future. It might not be as obvious as it used to be. Imagine 2018, 23%. 2021, we made just 22%. So we need to do a lot more to ensure that we move further and faster than we are doing presently.
Well, so much to talk about, Dr. Femi, but we're absolutely pressed for time. But I'd like to thank you indeed for your time and insights on the program, Dr. Femi Oroge, Program Manager, Osun State Malaria Elimination Program.
It's a big pleasure being with you today.